I went to Catholic school most of my life, all that really means is that every time I pass by a stained glass window, I flood my basement, if you catch my perverted drift. Regardless, in the 3rd grade, I had a teacher that was built like a Decepticon. Now, she told the entire class, everybody, well, she didn't actually talk like that, but I just think it's funnier if she did. She said, everybody, I want you to take your tiny little ethnic hands and feel your palms, all of that muscle and tissue. Now, imagine a nail going through it. And then imagine it happening to your other hand and your feet and being strung up so that the weight of your body drags that flesh down. That's what Jesus did for you. Now, the entire class just bursts out crying. Not me, though, because I hadn't developed emotions yet. Just a sea of black and brown kids weeping hysterically. It looked like a funeral in Harlem. And then afterwards, she was just like, okay, snack time. Little sippy sip juice. Animal cracker.
Story time! Okay, so this one day I went to class only to find out that I had a French test. So I took my best friend to the bathroom so that way we could make a plan so I could miss the test and do it another time. After some practice, I went back to class, and before she handed out the test, I told her I felt sick and that I would like to go to the nurse. But she didn't buy it. So I turned around and I pretended to pass out. Yeah, you heard that right. Anyway, she jumped up from her seat and she ran down the hallway, and then she realized that she ran the wrong way, so she turned around and she ran the other way down the hall. Fast forward a few minutes later, and the nurse comes to the room. At that point, the nurse is checking on me, and then she takes me to the infirmary. So then at this point, I'm so confused because I didn't plan on making it this far. So they pricked me with needles to check my blood sugar, and they checked my blood pressure, and they realized that nothing was wrong with me. So then they decided that the best decision would be to, of course, call my dad. Now, I would have been fine with that if my dad wasn't a doctor, which I seem to have forgotten about completely. So then he came, and I thought my dad wasn't gonna fall for it until he was like, oh, you know what? She's probably just dehydrated because she never drinks any water. So I was able to go home after that. They ended up rescheduling my French test for another day. But I just want to add that this whole idea was a waste of time because I never even studied for the second test. So it's just embarrassing.
Beauty school story time about my instructor. Let's call him Chad. It's a 112-degree day. The air conditioning is literally broken. The school did not shut down, but 12 people showed up, including me. I get a customer for some reason, because people think our school has AC when it really does not, and she wants a wolf cut. I have really no idea how to do it, but then Chad comes and says, oh, it's easy. It's just like this basic haircut you learn and have to do for testing. I'm like, great, I know how to do that haircut. That's my favorite haircut. He stands behind me the whole time while I do the haircut, not really saying anything, and I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I'm like, he's not commenting. I must be doing great. Like, he would never let me fuck up this girl's hair. She's happy with the haircut, everything goes fine. Then Chad comes up to me after she leaves and says, you need to really work on that haircut. You almost completely ruined her hair. Sir, you were what?
Story time! Okay, so when I was 16, I went to an alternative school. And in the beginning of the year, some of us went on a field trip. This field trip was in the middle of the mountains. This was before I knew about the missing 411, so I was actually kind of excited to go on this field trip. We get to the mountains and we're all having fun. We got split into different groups. I was literally walking through the forest. Someone fell into the lake when they were on a canoe. It was just one of those field trips where it was like a really cool field trip. After that, everyone regrouped and we left. We were all on separate buses, and the bus that I was on, everyone was friends. And I don't know whose idea it was, but someone started it. They began to hotbox the bus. There was one teacher there and he was really cool, and obviously the bus driver was there. And everyone was trying to be slick since it was being passed around. Obviously, you can't blow it up into the air, so they would blow the smoke to the floor. You never saw the smoke go up, like the smoke would just disappear. So everyone just kept doing that. The windows were closed and no one saw any smoke come up, so I guess we were just like, okay, plus it's okay to keep doing it. So this keeps happening on the bus for a few more minutes, and you could smell what it was. But the bus driver and the teacher didn't say anything, so it just kept happening. So a few minutes passed by, and then all of a sudden, you just see all this smoke rise up from the seats. I just remember everyone looked at each other like, what the fuck? Everyone looked at the teacher and the bus driver, and not a single word came from them. So in Chingas, everyone started opening the bus windows to get all the smoke out because there was so much smoke in the bus. The smoke was like collected at the bottom of the bus, and then it just eventually rised up. I don't know how the hell no one got caught. I just think it was one of those times where either the teacher didn't care or he was just like, I do not get paid enough for this.
Story time about how I woke up to my best friend having a seizure. A little background information. So my close friend invited me over to his house to spend the night, and we're gonna call him Jay. Well, Jay and I got to his house, and his parents are really strict, so he had to sneak me in. So he told me to wait by the garage, And as soon as he opens the front door to his house, I hear his parents screaming. So he's inside fighting with his parents. I'm outside freezing my ass off. So an hour later, he comes out to get me, walks me through the garage, and I have to hide in this crawl space. So while I'm hiding in this crawl space, him and his parents are still arguing. And his parents walk past where I was like 5 times. So his mom gets in the car and leaves. She said she was going to kill herself. His dad comes into the garage, starts crying. I literally witnessed him have a mental fucking breakdown. Then his mom came back, said that she hated everybody. So then Jay purposely bangs his head off of the kitchen table 2 times. So when he came into the garage to get me, he had an ice pack on his head. Then we snuck up to his room like for part 2. Part 2. So like I said, he rushes me up to his room because his dad was in the basement and his mom left again, threatening to kill herself again. And while we're upstairs, he starts taking dabs. And we're up for a little bit and then we go to sleep. So at like 8 in the morning, we both wake up. He's on his phone, I'm on my phone. We're not facing each other. And then all of a sudden, I feel the bed start to shake like a lot. So I turn over and this kid is having a full-blown fucking seizure. Like he's foaming at the mouth. His eyes are literally rolling in the back of his fucking head. So I get up and roll him over onto his side because I didn't want him to start choking. And I'm fucking freaking out and don't know what to do because I wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. And he's like making all these types of noises. So I go and I run down the hallway. I try to find his parents' room. And I open the door and have to wake them up dead out of their sleep. And I was like, your son's having a seizure. So his mom runs over to the room. And his dad's like, well, who the fuck are you? And why the fuck are you in my house? And I was like, your son told me that I could stay the night last night. Oh, like for part 3.
First time ever sneaking out of my house. Story time. The first time I ever snuck out of my house, I was a freshman in high school, and I had to have been around 14 or 15. I remember it being like 11 o'clock, and I just wanted to go to the beach, so one of my friends picked me up, and we were going to go to the beach. One of my other friends was supposed to go with me, but she literally bailed, and like I didn't even know until the second I got in the car. I was like, where is she? They're like, oh, she said no. So my friend is like, I'm just going to go pick up my other friend real quick and we're going to take care of some business. When he said take care of business, I didn't even know what that meant. So we drove like 15 minutes to go pick up this one person. And then we drove like another 20 minutes to go pick up this other person. When we picked up that other person, they also picked up drugs. And like my friend knew I was innocent and he kept saying like, nah, she's not going to do anything. She's not allowed, whatever. So then it's like 1 o'clock at this point. Keep in mind, he picked me up at 11. It's at 1 o'clock and we make it to the beach and I was just enjoying the water while the other 2 people and my friend were doing drugs. Now that I think about it, it's really dangerous, and why did I do that? I don't know. I didn't get home until 4 a.m. that same night. The funny thing is, when I snuck out, I went through the front door. But I made sure to lock the door, and when I was coming back in, I got the key stuck in the door. And then that's when my grandpa got up to go to the restroom at that same time. But I didn't get caught.
Story time! Okay, so I had this vice principal that absolutely hated my guts. His name was Mr. Z. And for some reason, Mr. Z always involved me in any drama that happened in my grade for absolutely no reason. So this one day when I was at school, me and my best friend got out of our math class and we decided to go to the bathroom. When we walked inside of the bathroom, the entire girls' bathroom was completely destroyed. They had vandalized the entire bathroom and there was a bunch of girls taking pictures to post it on Snapchat. So then me and my best friend were just standing there in shock and we were like, damn, who did it? And everyone was like, oh, we don't know what happened. So while me and my best friend are just standing there staring at all of the mess, this girl comes up to us and she's like, hey, do you guys want to skip 6th period? And that was me and my best friend's science class, by the way. But we were like, nah, it's okay, we're just gonna go to class. After that, we walked to the bathroom, we went to our 6th period class and everything was perfectly normal, and then we went to our 7th period class. While I'm in class, I'm just chilling, and then that's when all of a sudden Mr. Z walks into my class. He looks at me and then he points at me, he's like, come here. Of course, I got up and I was really confused, but I walked over to him, and that's when we walked into the hallway, walked all the way to the end of the hallway, and then he was like, why did you destroy the girls' bathroom? And I was like, wait.
Story time of the time where I fell asleep in class and my teacher didn't even wake me up. So I was in history class, of course, the boringest class, the class that I hated and I couldn't stand. I fell asleep in it. I put my head down for what I thought was going to be like 2 minutes, and when I picked my head up, it's been like a whole hour. So I put my head down and then I wake back up. I look and I see there's nobody in the classroom except for my teacher. And he's like sitting across from me acting like everything's normal. I get up and I'm like, what time is it? He's like, look at the clock. And I look and I see it's like 30 minutes into the next period. I was like, why didn't you wake me up? He's like, oh, you were sleeping. I was so mad. I just got up and I ran to my next class.
This is one of the biggest lies I ever told to get myself out of trouble. So back in high school, I used to run on the cross-country team, but by no means was I competitive or athletic at all. I was honestly just there for the social aspect of it. All throughout my freshman year of high school, I would literally run to Cold Stone Creamery to get ice cream and bring it back to everyone on my bus. I don't know if that tells you what kind of athlete I was, but yeah. Somehow I still didn't get caught for doing this stuff, and by later in high school, my friends and I decided to pretty much never go. I mean, we would show up to practice, but we would wait until everyone was ahead of us and then turn the opposite direction and sprint to Starbucks. We literally did this almost every single day. And then we would call cute boys from other schools to come meet us over there. We would literally get coffee with them, go shopping, and then once we saw the team getting close again, we would just run back to school and pretend like we did the workout. Until one day, I was called down to the principals. They said it had to do with my cross-country attendance. Follow Cher and I'll tell you what happened next.
So for starters, hopefully this makeup suits you a little bit better than the Tide Pod look did, but I'd also like to say that I've never gotten caught for anything before. At least, like, not school-wise. But I guess somewhere in this, the coaches started to take attendance mid-run. Sneaky. So I obviously had some absences. However, it was just me and one other girl that was called down to the office. So when I went in to talk to her, the only thing that could come to my mind to explain the absences was that I had an injury and I wasn't included in the workouts, so I just left and the coaches must have forgotten. And she bought it. However, rip my friend. They actually had camera footage of her leaving, so it wasn't like there was anything I could do to get her out of it. She got 3 days of detention, I believe, and I just went back the next day like nothing was wrong. But I ended up getting into a lot more trouble that I didn't actually get caught for, and that'll be next. Also, if you like these contacts, they're from TTDI. I got an adorable package in today, and you can use code MiniCooperLiz for 10% off. Follow for more story times.